Welcome to this midweek meditation. I'm Jerry Akin. When we think of the word humanity, do we ever consider what the opposite of that word might be? The opposite of humanity is divinity, because humanity means to be human. Divinity means to be divine, to be God, to be something other than and greater than human. Divinity defines the creator. Humanity defines the created, with all of its weaknesses and flaws and griefs and pain and everything else. And when you put these two words together, they are, in fact, opposites. And yet, somehow, in the person of Jesus, they coexist. Like so many other things in Christianity, there is a paradox there that baffles us, but it makes sense to God. Jesus was fully divine, fully God, but he was also fully human. He wasn't 50-50, half and half. He was fully both. Nowhere is this on display more than in the Gospel of John, chapter 11, when Jesus raises his friend Lazarus from the dead. Now, of course, he reveals his divinity, his God nature, when he cries out, "Lazarus, come out." And the dead man comes back to life. But just before that, the shortest verse in the Bible tells us Jesus wept. He felt pain. He felt grief and loss. This was his humanity on full display. Now, Jesus could have saved Lazarus before he even died. Jesus was out of town and he received word that Lazarus was sick. And at that moment, Jesus could have just said the word and Lazarus would have been healed from afar. We see Jesus do this other places in the Gospels. But he allowed Lazarus to die. Part of that was so that he could put the full glory of God on display. He could reveal that divine power over death. But I believe the other part of that is Jesus was not going to deny himself the human experience of grief. He allowed himself to go through sorrow and anguish and loss. He allowed himself to be in the position where he did weep for his friend and for his friend's family. You see, in this story, we see the full humanity of Jesus and the full divinity of God in Jesus. To say that God has a divine nature is an obvious statement. But if we talk about the humanity of God, immediately the knee-jerk reaction is to say that doesn't make sense. Yet, in Jesus, it somehow does. He was fully God, with all of God's glory and all of God's power, but he allowed himself to experience all the grief and pain and sorrow that we do as well. And I'm glad he did.